This is the Buffy and Lamar show.
Great show.
This is the Buffy and Lamar show.
Great show. Thursday.
This is the Buffy and Lamar show.
Great show.
What's happening, everybody?
This is the Buffy and Lamar show.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? This is the Buffy and Lamar show, and we are back for season 3. I am your host, Lamar Quincy, alongside my special, my whole wide world, my queen. She is the positive to my negative. She is very necessary to what I do in life.
Aww.
She is Buffy. No, she's Janita M, a.k.a. Buffy, a.k.a. Snack.
What's up?
What's going on?
I like that. That was a good
That was the best one.
That was the best one yet.
I'm starting off 2020 right.
You are.
That's how we doing it.
That is.
Excited to be back for season 3.
Yes, I missed the show.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said last season, I missed the show too, but I always need a break.
Yeah.
Breaks are definitely necessary.
Definitely.
So what do we got today? What's going on?
Well, we have guests today. We always love having guests for the show. And today, our guest, Lisa Carter, family law attorney, over 20 years here in Georgia. And we have Alex Heath, product developer and father of 6. Welcome, guys.
Welcome to the show, y'all.
Hey.
How y'all doing?
Well,
Excellent.
Excellent.
Yes.
no
Excellent.
bills collector called no bill collector to call me.
That's always good.
That's always good.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we're still here. You know, there's a lot of people that didn't make it today.
That's right.
That's
We're
true.
doing excellent.
That's
Yeah.
true. Speaking of, so we go into some hot topics.
Mm-hmm.
We've been away from the show for a couple of months on break. And just kind of want to catch up on some of the things that have been happening in the world. The untimely, unfortunate death of Kobe Bryant. And Buffy and I were in New York at the time, and when it first happened, we thought it was fake news.
Definitely.
Like, I didn't believe it at first.
Yeah.
I think I went through every social media outlet
Just to kind of verify?
make sure, because
Yeah.
I definitely didn't believe it. People always say, "Oh, this person died. This person, that person died." I did not believe
It
it.
was
At all.
shocking.
It was crazy.
Very shocking.
Yeah.
It
Felt
was
like a
definitely
family member. I took
And
that
then-
thing real personal.
I did
Felt like
too.
my brother died. Or,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just,
It was definitely very shocking. And anytime somebody dies like that, like really sudden, I always kind of think about like this person just was kind of going through their daily routine for the day. Like they didn't have any idea. It was just a regular day. Getting up, going out, not really knowing that they
It's
just
the
had a
last
few
day.
hours left.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
so I thought that was really shocking. I'm still kind of like unbelievable.
So why do you guys think everybody took it that way? Because I heard everybody say that they felt like that. Like a lot of people didn't go to work the next day. Like people were really in like strong grief.
I think for me, it just seems like we're always losing in the black community of most of our major
Yeah.
icons in a certain area.
Right.
Just like,
Just all of a sudden, yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden our major people. And I mean, for me, it's always weird that things happen around Grammy weekend.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I didn't even
that's
think
true.
about that.
Yeah.
At the same time, too, you got, we mostly grew up with Kobe being in the limelight for 20
Yeah, it was a
plus
long
years.
time.
So we actually watched him come from a boy
Yeah,
to a man and father. And,
that's true.
It was, if you think about it, it's like a big show. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
you watched it from the beginning to
right,
the end.
and then all of a sudden, without warning,
Yeah, it's over.
the show ends.
Right.
That's true.
So a lot of us, it was personal.
Yeah.
Very personal.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a while. There will never be another Kobe.
No.
By the way, it's gonna be a while before it settles.
Right.
I really like
I
the way.
I don't think it will ever settle. To be honest with you.
No, not
For us who
Really kind of connected with
Yeah,
him on that
it
level.
just-
Just as like a fan or a supporter.
yeah.
Even though I don't really do the Lakers.
not a Laker
But
fan.
I'm not
But
a
you
Laker
still
fan.
like
Yeah,
Kobe,
man.
yeah.
You can't
definitely.
not like Kobe.
I like the way it went on social media with the girl dad hashtag and everything. I really like that came out of it. I thought that was cool.
Did I do a girl dad picture?
Yeah, you did.
I
think that's where it hit me too. The whole the connection with the children
the kids,
who are now without a
yeah,
dad.
right.
Yeah.
That hit me.
And they're so young.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah. So condolences to the family, his wife. Definitely prayers go out to them.
Yeah.
So in light of that also too though, we had Gayle King and she interviewed Lisa Leslie and Lisa Leslie had she did an interview with
Why'd you say it like that?
well I kind of thought it was
I didn't think anything was wrong with the interview, honestly, but people thought that it was inappropriate for her to ask about the charges that came up against Kobe back in the day.
Yeah. Did you think it was inappropriate? Lisa, did you think it was inappropriate?
I have not picked a side yet because to me, sometimes journalism has never been fair.
Right.
That's
I
true.
mean that's the game. You got to ask
her
the
job.
hard questions. You got to talk about the things that make people uncomfortable because if you're not talking about it, then they're not talking about you, and so you're not relevant. So in one sense, I'm like this. But then on the other hand, I can understand why people felt a way about it because people have felt that Oprah has been attacking black men lately.
Yeah.
So that was kind of
that had a lot to do with it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, so.
But yeah, like you said, journalism is journalism, and those are the facts.
I didn't think that
You can't leave it out.
I didn't think that she asked the questions in any malicious way.
No.
Like I thought she just asked the questions that were relevant. Even though he did pass, that was still a part of his life.
Yeah.
And that's a question that you ask. What do you think? Did you see what Snoop said about her?
Who didn't see what Snoop said about her?
I mean,
Well, I think Snoop.
He felt very strongly.
yes.
And like he said, I'm saying what nobody else can say,
That's
but
true.
they're thinking it.
A lot of people were upset, and he just kind of voiced that opinion, so it was a little rude.
But he apologized.
He
So I'm kind of
apologized.
curious, what made him apologize?
His mama.
Right.
No, seriously?
He
No,
said,
I don't know. Did he say his mom?
He said something about his mama in his
Oh,
apology. So
I
his
would have
mom
made my
probably
son
called him.
apologize. That was a lie.
You said you would have?
I would have, definitely.
You would have made him apologize?
Yeah.
I probably would
The
have.
grown son.
Yeah. I would have been like, boy, it was a lot.
Yeah.
Like, he could have spoke his opinion, but, like, he didn't have to do all
called
of
a
that.
funky.
You sent me that. I honestly didn't know what was going on. Like, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I'm only informed on this stuff because she sent me that. What is this? Who is this person? You know, what are they talking about? Oh, so the one that was getting interviewed was the basketball player.
Yeah, Lisa Leslie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of disagree with her going there so close,
So soon.
so
Right,
soon.
yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
felt
yeah.
premature,
Yeah.
and it felt like she was trying to, you know,
Stir up
a
something.
cheap way to get ratings.
Mm.
To
Right,
be talked
right.
about. Probably didn't know it was going to be.
Right.
The blowback wasn't going to be, you know, so
Yeah.
aggressive. But she knew. I think she knew what she was doing.
I mean, that's Oprah's best friend. I mean, come on. What you
So-
Oprah's
Yeah.
bestie.
Right.
Gail went on Instagram shortly after the interview
Yeah.
and said that it was the way that they edited
She sure did.
the
Yeah.
interview that made it seem as if
Yeah. That's what she was
that's what
talking
she was
about.
trying
'Cause
to
it was
get
a
at.
full interview.
So it was a full
Yes.
interview, but the way that they posted, it was kind of posted out of context as if she was just drilling that point home.
Right.
And she said she was hurt by that.
Mm-hmm.
My thing was, I feel like Snoop said in his apology, like two wrongs don't make it right.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
you're slandering Gail for slandering
Right, for Kobe. Right. Exactly.
which doesn't really make sense. Like, how you gonna put down Gail because she putting down Kobe? Like,
Right.
you doing the same thing.
Exactly.
which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But anyhow.
And in 30 days, it won't matter anyway.
It already don't
matter. Yeah, it already don't matter. I always feel like
news cycle quick, bro.
Yeah.
Stuff lasts for about 48 hours, and then
like you'll be alright in 48 hours. You'll be
yeah.
good.
So, and the next thing we have is
Walona died.
Walona passed. We all good times. You watch Good Times?
Absolutely.
I watched,
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was I'm gonna get you sucker too.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I'm probably like the only one.
Yeah, he doesn't really like Good Times like that.
I actually like what's happening a little bit better.
You can't like both.
I mean, I don't not like Good Times.
You just like that.
I just kind of liked what's happening. I like Raj and
I kind of like different strokes a little bit, bro.
I don't think we have to choose.
What
I
you
thought
talking
they were all good.
You talking about Mr. Drum?
I like the theme song.
You like the theme song?
yeah.
Anytime you need a play,
I don't really feel like you had to choose.
No, you didn't have to choose. It was a good time for Black television.
Yes.
What do you think about what people kind of say about Good Times as if it was like a bad portrayal of Black people? Do you agree with that? I've heard people say that.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
I haven't. Yeah. I've never heard that either.
But
they was telling a true story.
Yeah.
You know, it was actually that way. I mean, why would we want to? If it's so bad, you know, why you want to hide it?
Right.
If it's so bad, now we see it, so we can address it and change it.
Right.
Exactly. You know, what are we hiding for? No,
But their family had morals. They were a good family.
Yeah, I didn't
morals
think it
and
was like.
and
Yeah, it wasn't a bad.
It wasn't a bad portrayal. It was a pretty accurate. I think it was actually a little bit light. I seen it worse.
Could have been a little more real.
Could have been a little bit more real.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
It had to be ready for TV.
Yeah,
Right.
That was the TV.
Some stuff can't go
version.
I think we got too hung up at one point on everybody being like the Cosbys. And
Yeah, that's
like
what
not
it
true.
was. I think the people that did talk about it online, they were kind of, you know, going back and forth with which one was better, the Cosby Show or Good Times, as a representation of the culture, that kind of thing. But I think you need both.
Yes,
they're both
you
a
need both.
representation of the
Yeah,
culture.
definitely.
Right.
We got to stop being ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
That was some people's experience.
It definitely was.
Some people's experience might have been the Cosby experience.
Everybody's experience was different. So there definitely has to be a wide spectrum.
Yeah,
of
what we have to remember is once upon a time we weren't represented at all.
Right.
That's right.
And that's why that time in television was great. And we can like all of the shows because we were represented finally.
Right.
That was the point. So that was good.
Very good. So the topic for discussion today, and we're going to go ahead and get into that. And I'm glad you guys came to the show today to offer your perspective. You want to introduce what the topic of discussion today is?
We are talking about fathers reconciling with their estranged children, which is a huge thing in society. It's huge in our culture, and it's actually becoming like really big just in America in general. Just kind of fathers not being in the home for whatever reasons. So we thought this was a great topic to discuss, and you guys feel very passionately about it. So it should be really good.
Yeah, we're on a journey right now.
Yeah,
with this topic.
So tell us a little bit about the journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so with me, without getting too personal, you know, my children are grown now, and there was a season of separation between us, and there was a lot of confusion, a lot of different stories that were told, and I think what happened is, you know, I've always hungered to be with them. Now, when we say reconciliation, there was a time when we were just really close, inseparable.
Right.
But as they got older and the world changed, our situations changed, we kind of strayed away. Well, you know, we kind of strayed away from each other. Now they're older and they want answers. I have those answers and those stories. And so pretty much that's where we are. And all my children, you know, they're different.
Right.
You can't really relate to them all the same.
Yeah, all kids are different. Yeah.
If you do, you're going to isolate somebody.
Yeah.
You got to know them individually. And so pretty much that's where we are.
So when I met Alex, he was in that season where it was very painful for him because he couldn't see how the gap was going to be closed because he had a desire to close that gap and to be brought back into relationship with them. So there were a lot of conversations about what happened and what his experience and what his hurts and pains were. There were a lot of tears shed. There were times I have to console him. See, people think men don't have feelings about their children, but they do.
Right.
You know, I just hold him and he'd cry, and so I knew it was real serious to him. But for me, from me listening, I'm thinking, this is really not as hard as he thinks it is.
Right. You saw some light at the
Yeah, I
end of
feel
the
like I'm listening to him, but I understand it's hard for him. But from my experience and my background with this, I could see the map as to how I was going to tell him how to close the gap.
Right, right.
And so, you know, I asked his permission. Can I help you in this process?
Awesome.
If I give you some tips of what to do, would you do it? He was like,
that's
I
important.
trust you.
Important.
Tell me what to do.
So
we operate in a blind spot sometimes. We could be specialists in certain areas, like really good with it, with other people.
Right.
But when it comes to us, sometimes we have blind spots, right? And I had a lot of blind spots.
Especially when you're in pain.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard.
And I didn't know that it was going to be as easy as it was because I can communicate well with them, with most people, right? And they like to talk to me, and I didn't know all the different changes that had occurred, and we needed to know that. You know, my daughter texted me, what was this, day before yesterday? She wants to know about her granddad. My dad, because she don't really know, right? And I spend a lot of times telling my stories to them so they can understand who I am, and they can somewhat understand the tendencies that they have and where they come from, right? And so that's kind of the point, because they really want to see themselves in me. They really want to understand who they are.
Right.
Why do I think this way? Why am I motivated to do this?
Those are definitely holes that children usually want to have plugged in.
Right.
Yes.
No matter how old
this
you are,
this particular child, it was when he was telling me about her and the breach between them. What did I say to you? I said, well, this is the child that sounds most like you.
Oh, wow.
And I said to him, I said, when you guys do reconcile, y'all gonna be super duper close.
Yeah.
And his expectation of what she needed to do in order to draw closer to him, I had to say to him, you know, I love you, right? Let me tell you something. You're being prideful. And this expectation that you have of that child is unreasonable. So if you want to reconcile with her, you're going to have to make the adjustment. However, what you are expecting from her, you're going to get it. But it's going to be in due time. But due time is not when you demand it. And I told him, I said, and when you do get with that apology or that understanding that you expect from her, it's going to mean so much more to you when it's done in due time.
Oh, yeah.
I was on it.
Yeah, I remember you saying if you get it the way you're asking for it, it won't be genuine anyway.
Right, right.
And you're going to get it, but it's not going to be worded the way you anticipate. It's going to be in the energy. It's going to be in how you guys interact with each other.
Right.
And it's gonna be organic. It's just going to happen.
Well, that was one of the questions that we kind of had, like, you know, when it comes to, like, your expectation, like, how did you think it would be unreasonable for her to, like, reject, or any of your kids, to reject the fact that you did want to reconcile with them?
So, the hard truth is, reconciliation is not guaranteed. Right. That's the sober truth of the matter.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Because some people can be so bitter, both parties. Yeah. Right? You know, some of us are really prideful. You know, you step on our toes, you call us a name, and you do something like that. You're not coming, you're not. Right. You got to say, I'm sorry. Well, what if she can't say, I'm sorry? Right. So y'all stalemated forever till you old? Sometimes, you know, that can be the case. So
did you take the first step? Like, did you reach out when you thought it was time? Did you take the first step, or was it her, or any of the children?
Well, put it this way. She was reaching out, but I couldn't recognize it as that.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't see that that's what it was. Lisa actually said, it's plain as day.
That's what this is.
That's what this is.
Right.
Yes. It just didn't sound like how he wanted it to sound.
Right. To me, I was still kind of offended because I was thinking about, you know what you said.
Right.
I ain't trying to hear none of that until I get this.
Right.
Right? So, and it was unreasonable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, you know, building the connection is so much more important than, you know, being right.
Right.
You know, winning the contest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or getting that apology that you might not get.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the sober truth is reconciliation may or may not happen. Now, some men, you know, wise up and like, I want to know who my son is. Okay? So now for it to happen, both parties got to participate.
Right.
But what if your son is not there yet? You know?
So let me ask you this. So I always feel like there has to be a why for everything that happens.
Come on.
So why reconcile? Is the reconciliation a benefit to you? Or is it a benefit to your children? Or do you feel like it's a benefit to the both of you? Because I feel like at some point in time, whether it's you or whether it's your children, if you make a decision to want to reconcile, what is that decision based off of? Is it because you want to feel better as a father for the time that there was disconnect? Or is it to benefit them so that you can, like you said before, fill the holes in that they're missing? So like, what's the why for you?
The why for me, number one, I never wanted to be apart from them, right? And I know that, you know, I've spent a lot of time reading and writing and learning about this stuff. And I used to be the go-to person for this kind of stuff for other people. Like I used to counsel, right? So this was my arena for a long time. Yeah. And I watched, and I knew I have a lot to offer. Yeah. And I can't superimpose, I can't really force my way of thinking on them.
Right.
So I didn't push the issue. I just let it be known that the doors are open. Right? It's a very tough, harsh world out there. Very, it can be ruthless for people that look like us. Yeah. And so you have to have some wisdom with how you move. Yeah. Right? And I would love to be able to give that wisdom. So reconciliation is for all of us. But for it to actually happen, it has to be a mutual desire.
Yeah. But the why for you was, it was tormenting for you.
Yeah, it was tormenting for me. Plus, you know, I lost a son, right? I don't know if you guys know about what that's like to actually lose a child or lose a sibling, right? So I fall in the category of losses everywhere, right? And I see, you know, my children, I see the world that they live in. The world that they're coming up in is so much more different than the world that we grew up in. And the trajectory doesn't look like it's getting safer for them. Yeah. Right? So it's a nightmare to imagine, you know, losing your seed.
So what role does the mother of your children play in that reconciliation? Like, what does that look like?
I'm sure that.
I take no, that's good.
Wait.
Oh yeah, you can answer.
I think Lisa wants to answer that.
What does it look like and what it should look like?
Yeah, exactly.
Let me tell you what's really difficult about the whole breach in the first place. I'm not saying that this is Alex's situation, but in a lot of situations where children and fathers are separated, mama, talk to your camera, mama, are the reason. Okay, because typically that of course that mother and that father have been in a relationship. That relationship ended. You know, men can brush it off and move on, and they got another woman, another family, have started other kids. Women, it takes us a little bit longer to heal, and so our healing and our bitterness ends up being transferred to those children.
Right.
And sometimes we can find ourselves using those children as the get back at dad.
Right.
Okay? So in the reconciliation process, what has made it wonderful for Alex, and I told him this, I said, what you don't realize is you're in a really good situation because your kids are older now.
Right.
They're not under the influence of
they can't be
mom
used.
all the time. And I'm not saying,
Yeah.
let me correct this, I'm not saying that their mother did anything.
Right.
But in a lot of situations. So I explained to him, your kids are older. They're away from any influences. They're developing their own independence.
Right.
They have questions. They're going to want to know why. Even if when they ask you these questions, they're angry about it.
They still
in the
wanna know.
tone that they're still, they still want to know. They're old enough to ask the questions. So of course, then his response was, well, how do I get there? How do I get to him? So let's take this one particular daughter, for example, the one that was most like him.
Yeah.
I said, listen, I'll tell you this, and I need you, I want to know if you're willing to do it.
Right.
Whatever. He was so submitted. Whatever you tell me to do, I trust you, I'm going to do it. I said, you got any pictures of this particular daughter when she was younger? He said, I do, but she's in pictures with the siblings. I said, okay, I need you to get that picture. I need you to crop that picture out and make that picture only of her. I need you to text her that picture. And what did I tell you to say? I miss my baby, or something like that.
Something to that degree, like celebratory of this is my baby. I miss her.
Yes.
Something to that
I
degree.
miss my baby. And I had him separated from the other kids because it's important for her to feel like an individual.
Right.
Because you're trying to connect with her individually. You can't connect with the whole group right now. This is going to be a lot of work because you got to each do it one by one by one by one. And you got to knock them down one by one by one by one. So, and that's what he did. So when he sent her that picture, what happened?
It was a turning point for us. So now we started texting each other. I think she was probably a little nervous about talking to me at first.
Yeah.
As nervous as I was because we had such tension years before. And so the text messages and the pictures leading up to our conversation, the conversation was amazing. So we talk all the time now. Right. But it was nerve-wracking. And you made a good point. You have to get to a place to where you don't have all the answers.
Right.
Sometimes
you gotta be honest
sometimes take somebody on the outside looking in. That's looking at the bigger picture that you can't see because you're blinded by.
And you're hurt.
You're hurt.
I think it's important, the role of women, even if it's the mother, if it's your significant other in a new relationship. Women are very important when it comes to just the family in general. And I've always said this. I've had a couple of, nieces and nephews where, their father isn't, in the home. They're in their life, but they're not in the home. And I've often explained to the children how hard it is, for the father to take initiative sometimes. Because most of the time in a household with, a 2-parent family household, the woman is coaching the husband. And people don't realize that because some things are just not natural. Some things, Tori won't even be thinking about. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why don't you do this? Or why don't you take her out, to see a movie? Or, Isaiah might want to go play basketball with you. I think he kind of misses you. So we kind of initiate some of those things. So when when people are not together anymore, I think it's just a natural thing that happens with guys. There's things that they're not thinking about.
So
but children
need coaching.
Oh yeah, all the time.
And here's the interesting thing: when you come alongside and in partnership with somebody who is going through something like this, the why for me in making sure that he reconciles with his children, is because I need you whole.
Right.
If you're not whole, then you're not gonna be whole.
Right.
For me.
Yeah, because Alex have always been hurting.
Yes, and Alex has been awesome with Grant.
That's
awesome. he's just awesome, just amazing, and and they really love each other. And one of the things that I had to say to him is, I thank you so much for stepping up
and Grant is your
and
son.
and loving Grant like he's yours. And what did I say to you? I said, but guess what? I don't want Grant to be your counterfeit.
Right.
I want you to have what you really want to have. And what you really want to have is reconciliation with your seed.
Yeah.
That's important for me to see you walk out so that I can receive the love that you have for my son.
Right.
Because I'm not saying it's not authentic, but I need the peace and knowing that it's not a counterfeit.
Yeah, I would feel really guilty in that situation.
Yeah.
You know, if that wasn't mended before, you know.
And some women are not going to say that.
No, they won't.
Because they want to get it all.
And you said,
Yeah.
I want to say one thing. I want to be like Grant when I grow up.
So silly.
Grant is amazing.
Why do
Grant
you
knows
want
what he wants in life already. Like I seen him online on social media, and I'm like, yeah, Grant has it all together.
true story.
He's so entertaining. I need Grant on the show.
He knows.
Yeah,
he knows.
Grant.
Listen, he knows it too.
Yeah, he does.
He knows when the camera come on, it's time.
It's showtime, baby.
He turned it on. Boy. Grant is amazing.
Thank you for that.
I mean, I just
No time.
Right. That's it.
You made me forget what I was going to say now. So
G-Man.
yeah,
Shout out to the G-Man.
shout out to Grant. So a question: why do you all think that reconciliation is more of an issue with the father than it is the mother?
Why?
Yeah.
Because for the most part, the children are most likely to live with mom.
Why?
That's the way our society views it or sets it up. You know, I can't say this is our experience. This is everybody in here knows a situation where that occurred. The children most likely going to be with mom, and when there's a nasty breakup, the children take a hit too.
Yeah.
You know, the children. You know, we talk about reconciliation. There was a time when we were one unit. There was a time. This is another point that I was trying to make. You know, reconciliation is almost, it's different when you never had a relationship with them.
Right.
They don't even know you. They found you online. And then
That's true. Yeah.
y'all started talking. That's a little different than my experience. My girls remember me painting their toenails.
Right.
My sons remember me cutting their hair every weekend, right? Sitting down, teaching and talking, you know, going places, doing things, talking on the radio, cutting grass, changing diapers. So you plant these seeds, you do well. Maybe something happened between mom, and then it's nasty, and then there's a separation.
Yeah.
And so what we don't like to admit is a lot of times, I'm not saying this is my situation, but I know it's a lot of other people's situation. When children are young, they have impressionable minds. And the mother don't have to start talking dirty about dad, but sometimes her silence could inject stuff about that, could imply that.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Or kids can just make up their own story.
And they're always,
when they don't have the answers, they have to fill them in.
So true. And they're always listening. You know, my son is 4. If I'm on the phone and I mention Johnny's name, Grant will say, "Hey, don't talk about my daddy." Talk about your daddy?
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, where does that even come from?
Yes, I'm like, how does he even know to jump defensive?
Right.
Yeah.
I could be talking to his dad, and I'll say, "Well, Johnny said that." Right. Hey, don't talk about my daddy.
Wow.
And he's like, "Are you serious, little boy? You better sit yourself down somewhere."
Be like, Grant.
You see how he just took command of that situation?
But that's crazy for you know a 4-year-old to even have that emotion.
Yes, but but him having that emotion holds me accountable.
Right. Because you know he's listening.
Yes, I know he's listening.
Right.
And a lot of women don't really understand that they need to be accountable for that. You've got to be accountable for the things that you're saying openly in front of those children. Like you said, things that you're saying with your silence.
They're going to be indoctrinated.
Hearing other people say things about that father that you know are not true, but you don't step in on that child's sake and say, well, no, that's not.
Right.
No, you know, your daddy didn't. I know you heard. No, your grandma said, but no, your daddy didn't do that. You know.
Right.
So because
so with that said, Lisa, and I just kind of want to throw this question out there, just to be devil's advocate, right? So in that situation or scenario that you just spoke about, saying that women need to be accountable, what do women do in a situation where the father is just not doing anything at all? Like, how do they do that?
So he does suck, and
That's really good.
like,
That's a good question.
Right, yeah, that's
Great
What do
question.
you do? Like, what is a woman to do if there's really like no good qualities at all about the father? Like, what is she gonna say?
but you can't.
And then you can't. Then it's silence too, because you don't really want to speak.
In that situation, it's best to be silent.
But then that speaks stuff too, like Alex was saying.
But it's best
looking
to
at
be
the
silent because you can't. You have nothing. You got to remember that child identifies themselves with that father. That's why your daughter, you said, is asking questions about you and about granddad and all that, because she's trying to find her own identity. So you can't tell a child your daddy was sorry. Daddy, so you can't say that because that child is internalizing. You talking about me. I know it doesn't make sense to the person that's speaking, but that's what's being received.
Plus, we don't want them to be hateful.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To grow up angry. Now, to your point, right? Say he's legitimately a deadbeat.
Right.
All right. But you're trying to, protect the child. You don't want to say nothing. Dad said he was coming. Did you hear from him? No call, no show. How do you explain that? Right. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So, but if you try to, put too much, like, oh, but he's a great guy. He gonna
They know you lying.
He gonna grow up. Say, hold up, mama been telling me you good all these years. What was she looking at? I can't get in contact with you.
What did I miss?
So she's right. Sometimes it's okay to be silent. Right? Because you really, the goal for real is to know that this child is going to be somebody's father. It's going to be somebody's husband. Right? He's going to be a business owner, a neighbor. So we're shaping a soul here.
That's right.
Right? And so we have to keep that in mind while we're, interacting with him.
Well, I think with that in mind, I think you should speak up.
Yeah.
Because if you are dealing with a situation where the dad is a deadbeat, I think you need to be honest with your child. Like, when it's age appropriate, you need to have that conversation. And so that they don't internalize those qualities for themselves, you just speak life into them. You tell them what a man is supposed to be like. And at the same time, you can teach them to show respect to their father because that's their father. Things like that.
So what does that sound like? I'm curious to know what that
Oh,
conversation
what it sounds like.
Because you can't say deadbeat.
Yeah,
you can't tell them your dad
Right.
was a
Don't
deadbeat.
label it like that.
You can't say
So
that.
you just gotta say it in a nice
And
way.
I'm gonna tell you what I've
Yeah.
learned about
Right.
that in the documentary that I did. The term deadbeat is not always what you think it is.
Right.
The reason why that man is not around may not always be what you assumed.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the reason.
Is the reason.
Right.
One of the major things that I learned in researching for that
And what
documentary
is
is
the name of
that
your documentary?
A Fatherless Child, Diary of Absence.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of men stay away because they feel shame.
Yeah.
Shame is huge.
Yeah.
It makes you not want to be seen. You're a man and society says you're supposed to look like this and be able to do this and be able to do that. And then you go around your kids and they're like, Mama said you ain't never had nothing.
Right.
Mama, you don't want to hear that from
Yeah, why
your
would you want to be
children.
around that?
However,
So-
let me interject. I understand that. However, as a man, I don't think that's not a reason to be absent. That's not a reason because you feel shame. That's not a reason to not be around.
Well, I'm not justifying it completely, but what I'm saying is in the term deadbeat, we're not completely knowledgeable
of what it is
as to all of the factors that make a man stay away, because we just don't know.
We don't know why he's
haven't really
away.
researched it. We don't really know. We just put it this way: we just make the assumption that he's away because he don't care about these kids at all. That's not always.
That's not always the case. That's true.
That's my point.
That's true. That's a good point. So, we had another question.
No,
That was it?
Oh, but you said, what would it look like?
Oh, yeah.
I don't really,
I remember saying.
I don't really know what it look. I mean,
explain
okay,
that.
so
Say
if
that.
like,
So if I'm the kid, right?
right.
Tell me my dad is a deadbeat without saying the word
Without
deadbeat.
saying it. Well, like, I guess like with the scenario that Alex was using, when like the dad doesn't show up, then you know he's not showing up.
All right,
he
so
never
dad
shows
didn't
up.
show. So I called dad this morning. Right,
Dad
he's
never
supposed to
came.
come get me so
Right.
we could go to the park, and he didn't come get me.
Right.
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 How do you explain to me?
So
So
as the
you're
mom,
thinking.
right.
Wait. You're thinking in your head.
Right.
But you're not saying it to me
Yeah.
because you know you don't want to put that on him.
Right.
You don't want to give that message
I'm
to
thinking
me.
he's a loser. I can't believe he
Yeah, you're saying he's a loser. You cussing him out in your head.
Right.
So tell me, without calling him a deadbeat or cussing him out, why my dad didn't show up to take me to the park.
I don't know why I'm gonna say all of that, but I think that you would just sympathize with the child, knowing that they're disappointed. So you would speak to that first and try to comfort them in that area.
Okay.
And then
Role play.
Yeah.
How does that sound? 'Cause this
That's
is
what I'm
good.
trying to get.
Okay,
Oh, y'all
I'm
do it.
gonna be here. I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Oh, y'all
so
gonna
you
do it?
try to
Okay.
You want me to be great?
I'm mama.
I'm gonna be great.
All right.
Where's Daddy? Coming to get me. I'm ready to go.
Come here, Grant. Touch is important.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay. All
'Cause
right.
that child in that moment is feeling something.
Okay.
It's like when you get ready to give bad news to somebody. I had to tell him this the other day because he's a jokester.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I don't know when he's serious and when he's joking.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
go off a couple of times. So he was like, well, how do
You gotta
how do I
stop
make
and
this? Because I'm
touch.
not going to stop joking. I said,
Right.
listen, put it this way. If you got to tell me something that's hard and that you know
Right.
is going to be hurtful to me,
Yeah.
I need you to
Embrace.
bring me in close.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Got to bring your child in close because you get ready to tell him something.
Yeah.
Baby, your daddy is not here.
Mm-hmm.
I know he said he was coming,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he said last week that he was coming, and he's not here. And I know that's hurtful and that's disappointing to you. But
You're gonna make me
that's
cry.
the way it is right now.
Good, I'm so sad.
This is the way it is right now. I wish I had an excuse and an explanation for you, but I don't. Daddy said he was coming and he's not here. Okay? I'm sorry. But you
I
hurt.
just felt that.
Right.
That's all you can say.
And
You
they
don't
need
know.
that.
Yes.
That's all you
Yes.
can
And
say.
and the bond, that bond of trust
Right.
between mom and child grows. So if mom give dad a compliment, it's
Right.
gonna be real
Right.
because of the position in his heart that she established with that being honest.
That was like the Fresh Prince episode.
Okay?
It
And
was.
then, and then what I'm gonna do later when the child is out of my hearing is I'm about to call dad and I'm about to put him on blast.
But I think we should take it a step farther with the interaction with the kid. Because I know that's what usually happens with really good moms. And then you have this mom and kid that are super close. But then when the kid gets older, they hate the dad. Like without you saying anything negative, they're going to hate him. So
Well,
I think
what
we
does a
should
mom-
take it a step further after that interaction when you console the child. And you say something like, we're gonna pray that dad gets better at that. But don't let that affect you. Remember what we talked about the importance of, men are always on
That's
time.
good.
They keep their word. You know what I mean? So build him up as a man so he doesn't turn into that.
That's
same
good.
thing.
That's where I was going next with it. But in that moment may not be the appropriate time to say that.
And
Because in
depending
that
on-
moment, what's important in that
They need
moment
to
is
be
I'm hurt and
consoled.
I'm
Yeah.
disappointed.
Right.
And so that's what you got to speak to in that moment. And it's not necessarily speaking to it. You got to speak to it with touch. Come here.
So they feel that love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a timeline for the honesty?
I always feel like the honesty should come when the child starts to ask questions.
Right.
You feel like you feel like when they start asking questions that you can lay it all out, or you just kind of spoon feed the honesty to them?
I think it should be age appropriate.
Age appropriate.
Yeah.
For example, you know, Johnny and I, y'all know it's no secret, you know, we divorced 3 years ago. Grant was only 9 months old. He does not remember us being in the same household together. However, by instinct, he would say to me, I just want mommy and daddy at the both times.
Oh, wow.
That's his phrase. And he would be in real distress about that. And for a while, I didn't know what to say. Until one day,
How old was he when he started
Grant
saying
started
that?
saying that to me when he was 2 and could speak.
Wow.
He's 4 now. It's going to be 5 in September.
Yeah.
He probably said it to me for a year before I got the wisdom and how to respond to him. And then I was also waiting for the age appropriateness.
Right.
And so finally one day when he said it, I said, come here.
Yeah.
Touched him. I said, once upon a time, you had mommy and daddy at the both times. But you don't remember because you were a little baby.
Right.
And we all lived in the same house together. But mommy and daddy are not together anymore. And so mommy and daddy are not going to be with you at the both times anymore in the same house. But guess what? He's like, what? I said, you got daddy and Miss Tamika. Daddy loves you and Miss Tamika love you. You like Miss Tamika? Oh, I love Miss Tamika. And then guess what? You got mommy and Mr. Alex. You love Mr. Alex? Oh, yes. So guess what? You got 4 people that love you.
Yeah.
And so you could get to be with Daddy and Miss Tamika at the both times. And then guess what? You come home and you get to be with Mommy and Mr. Alex at the both times. Isn't that awesome? Yes! And he has never said it to me again because I gave him a different perspective.
Yeah,
but
you
it's
set
the truth.
Yeah, it's the truth. It's not giving him.
That was a great answer.
Yeah. That was a good.
It took you a while.
It took me a while
You gotta get some wisdom on it, I'm sure.
Yes, it just had to come to me because it grieved me to hear him say that, and I didn't know. And when Johnny and I were together with him, like for example, if we would go to his school to have a birthday party, he'd just be like, "Come on, let's take a picture." Me and Johnny have to be
But then that's not the truth too, because some people do that and you don't want to do that. So you know what I mean? So it's
but
like,
we would do it, you know, we do it because we understood. We had the maturity to understand that this is an important moment for him.
For him
so
at
we
that
had to
time.
act like we had some sense.
Right.
Really.
That's important for the child too.
Sacrifice.
I think that's huge for the child.
Oh yeah.
Like in the separation, to be able to be
Cordial.
civilized and cordial and understand that, all right, well, if things didn't work out between the two of us, you know, we still need to we still have to obviously maintain a relationship.
It's major. You have to have the maturity to do that.
And it goes on for a long time because, like, you had this discussion just a few years ago as an adult.
Oh, like my family?
Yeah, like with your parents,
Yeah, I mean, that's another show.
Well, basically, you know, I'm just saying, like,
how
it
affects you
continues,
down the line. Yeah,
because
if it's not really like something that's dealt with,
right?
You know, if it's
you don't
not
figure out how to act.
if you don't figure out how to be honest and how to actually deal and explain, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've never really had my parents explain to me, like, just give me an explanation as to what happened.
Right.
So, and I think that's a big thing.
And that's age appropriateness.
Yeah.
And you have to ask those questions.
Right.
It's not something that your parents can come to you and say, listen, let me tell you why me and your daddy broke up.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
You have to ask.
Yeah.
And you have to be fair. Let me tell you something my brother said the other day that was profound. He said that when you begin to look at your parents as people instead of your parents, you will have a whole lot more empathy for the things that they were not perfect in.
That's true.
They
Those are all just people,
That's true.
Yeah.
I have empathy for them.
You do? Did it take you a minute?
Yeah, it did take me a minute.
I think it does. Yeah.
I think it took me being a parent to actually have
that would get you. That'll get you every time.
Every time. It's gonna change you.
Every time.
Mm-hmm.
I think we deal with our kids in that way too. Like we've never approached parenting as like, oh, we have all the answers, we're perfect. We let them know like we're human beings too. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna make mistakes, we're not perfect. We can talk about things. So I think that's.
And sometimes you have to think it through first. Some some of these, some of them are very tough, and take a year to actually come up with the right narrative to make it stick. Right. One of my sons is 20, right? And we just reconnected. And we had a lot of tension between us two. So I said, Andrew, let me ask you a question. How do you think your life would be right now at 20 if you was married, you had 2 children, you're paying all the bills right now? Do you think you can handle that? He's like, no. He said, well, that's what I was doing when I was your age. Okay?
That was the
He's
problem.
like, wow.
Right, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Now I see.
I see what's the problem.
Yeah.
That's my son says. Now I see what's the problem.
So we're just gonna go ahead and wrap up. I think this was a great conversation.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys coming on the show and sharing and being transparent. I think that transparency and honesty is something that we should all do more of because it helps other people.
Oh yeah.
When you're transparent about a situation that you've dealt with in your life, you never even really know just by speaking it out loud and not keeping it internal how it could help somebody else. You guys coming on the show.
Thank you for having us. We love talking about this topic. So if you ever want to do a part 2, let us know.
But if we do part 2, you gotta bring Grant.
Yeah.
I want to hear what he has to say about this.
Okay. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I want to know what he has to say because he's got it. He's got it all together.
Yeah, he's got it all together.
So so you guys on social media?
I'm on Instagram.
You on Instagram?
Yeah.
You want people to follow you?
I got people. Yes. What do you mean?
You gotta think about it for a second.
What do you mean? Hold on.
What kind of people?
Yeah, what kind of people?
Our listeners.
Oh,
yeah, that's fine. Perfect. Yeah.
So if you want to promote your book or your Instagram or your Facebook.
Okay.
Well,
or
I got
your
my
business.
product too. I got 2. I actually have 2. Are we still recording?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have 2 pages.
Okay.
One page is kind of new because I have a product that's it's gonna be huge, and there's a page for that because I needed some social media content on it, and it's in the cemetery industry.
Okay.
Revolutionizing that industry, and so I would love for you guys. So you guys have a page that.
Yeah, we'll put it up on the show page.
We'll put it up.
Yeah, I would love that.
Put it
That
up.
would be
We'll
beautiful.
put it up. Lisa.
You get the likes for
Hey.
the marketing.
Is the documentary still available?
Yeah, y'all can check me out on seedsintheearth.org or seedintheearth.net.
Okay.
SEEDINTHEARTH. Seedintheearth.org or .net. Check out the documentary, A Fatherless Child, Diary of Absence. The documentary explores the deadbeat.
We have that one.
Okay.
Learn some good stuff.
We do have that one. Okay. I remember. Do we watch that? Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's really good.
And I'm actually working on I'm pitching a reality show pilot.
Okay.
Oh,
It's
really?
called Real Dads, Real Drama.
Ooh.
And the premise is good dads that are trying to reconcile with the kids, but they got a battle with mama.
I would
in
definitely
order to
watch
get it
that.
done.
Yes.
I would watch
Why is
that.
it such a
That is so
battle with
needed.
mama?
Because we're connected by emotions. So it just
I
like
gotta
I
get
said,
that
it
Mama be
takes us-
wanting to get back,
takes
man.
us harder.
Mama be wanting.
She just be petty.
We were
You
just
know, I'm
talking
probably
about that.
wanting you to hurt
We
too
was talking
now.
about that the other day.
Yeah.
We was just talking about if we separated, how we would act.
Yeah, you should probably stay with me because I'll be petty.
I told her she'd be
He knows
I'll be petty too.
And sometimes mama's pettiness is legit now.
But I could be petty too.
Yeah, we just be
Daddy's be
messy.
We'll
petty
just be
too.
battle of pettiness.
True story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who could be more petty?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just stay together.
All right, that's
Petty
cool.
contest.
So again, thank you guys for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Great conversation. This is the Buffy and Lamar show. You can follow us on Instagram at Buffy and Lamar. We are on Facebook, the Buffy and Lamar show. This is also now on YouTube.
Yay.
So if you go to YouTube and type in the Buffy and Lamar show, we should pop up. We are the two people with the cartoon faces.
And subscribe.
And subscribe to the channel. And it's also audio podcast if you're not on a computer or you're driving to work or going home. Spotify, TuneIn, Apple, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and there's a couple of others. But
all of them.
Yeah, all of them. So yeah, tune in next week. We'll have another show, another episode. Great topics, great discussion. This is the Buffy and Lamar show. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.
Peace.